Hey guys, what is up? Mike here. Thanks for tuning in to another video. In this video, I want to give you some tips, some pointers, some things to think about when getting started in UI UX design in 2019. First of all, yes, I'm standing in my kitchen. Somebody's in my guest room right now, and so basically here I am. I have two lights right there that puts off pretty good lighting, and you're gonna get me in my kitchen. But that's actually a rule of thumb. If you're putting a YouTube channel together, if you're putting out content, when it comes to video, I go by the rule of thumb, Gary Vaynerchuk, hey, get a camera and just shoot and put off valuable content and you'll be successful. And so that's what my model's been since 2008. Hopefully you enjoy the content and you get a nugget from this. But now that I'm posting videos again, I took like 6 months off. I've been doing so many other things. I'll probably talk about you know, my experience in taking time off, but I've been posting videos since 2008. And now that I'm posting videos again the last week or so, I'm getting a good response from people that value my content, and I value and I appreciate everyone that watches my videos and gets something out of it. So thank you for watching my videos, I truly appreciate that. But I get a lot of messages from people that are getting started in UI UX design. You're coming from a different industry, print design, some just now graduating, some coming from wanting to leave their current industry job and getting in. Today, someone coming from a gaming position from 12 years and explaining that, hey, I'm doing brain dead work, and listen, I get it. We've all been there, and we want to try something new. Tons and tons of messages from people. Just here are some things, I just want to ramble off some things for anyone getting started in this industry that will help you out and just kickstart you, some valuable, helpful advice for you to get started and as you go and embark upon your journey. The first thing that I think about when getting started in this industry is a lot of people are confused. There are two positions in the UX design umbrella. All right, so if you think of it as an umbrella, there's mainly two primary positions. There's the UX researcher and there is the designer. And a lot of people get these confused. Okay, there's two positions. I've been doing this for 20 plus years. Trust me, I know the ins and outs of this industry to the T. There are two positions. The UX researcher is one, and the designer is the other one. The UX researcher has maybe a few different titles, but essentially their position or their title is pretty much solidified. It's called the UX researcher. The designer now has multiple titles. You'll see UI UX designer, UX designer, UI designer, product designer, you know, and so forth, right? You have so many different titles on the design side, and the difference between the two is and these two positions primarily work together under the UX umbrella. The UX researcher is the person responsible for the research, the gathering of data, surveying, testing, understanding who the users are, and gathering this information and working with the designer to actually build out the screens. The designer is the person that is responsible for the hands-on design work. So back in the day, we consider it, hey, you open up Photoshop and you actually do the visual design. That's the designer, right? Today, just some of the tools that we use, some of the things that you might want to look into. Three of the primary tools out there, Sketch, which is primarily for Mac, Figma, and Adobe XD. These are, in my opinion, the three primary tools. Also, and these are visual UI design tools that you'll use to actually design the screens. In addition to these tools, you'll need the capabilities of doing prototyping. Sketch integrates very well with a tool called, an online tool called InVision. InVision is an app where you can do prototyping, where you would take your screens from Sketch, post them to InVision, send out links to your product team, to your developers and things like that, and they can click around your product, your visuals, to see and more interactive prototype of the screens that you produce. Adobe XD has this built in. Figma also has these prototyping capabilities built in. Those are the tools, the main primary tools that you'll be using as a UX designer. Now, I presume what's funny about this is when people get into and start learning about UX design, they read a lot of textbook theory, and a lot of the things that they're being taught is from you know, basically UX methods and principles, and it really comes from the UX researcher side of things. But what they don't teach you is that as a UX designer, visual UI design is one of the primary, if not the biggest skill set that you need to develop. So a lot of people get started in UX design and you think, oh, I don't have to design anything. It's because you're learning research, right? You're learning the methods and principles of UX design. But as a UX designer, your primary skill set is visual UI design. And what is that? That's basically your understanding on designing visuals, the screens, the graphics, the buttons, the layout, the styles, the composition, everything that you see in an application. When you look at your iPhone, you look at your Android device, you look at your computer, all those websites and apps, somebody had to design that. That's what you're responsible for, okay? You're just not responsible for understanding who the user is and building out customer journeys and building out user profiles and things like that, okay? You have to design, you have to learn that skill set. So the primary skill set that you need as a designer is visual UI design, okay? And the way, in addition to that, as a designer, you want to understand some of you want to learn the UX methods and principles, but it's not that's something that you're going to continuously learn. It's something that you can learn very quickly, just based on common sense and logic and reason, you know, rational thought. But the visual design side is really a skill that's going to take practice, and you have to practice your visual design skill set every single night as you build up, you know, your skills into this position. All right, and one of the primary things that I recommend as someone getting started is you first find one of these tools, Sketch, Adobe XD, Figma. I recommend Sketch. You go with, let's say you go with Sketch. If you're on PC, go with Figma. What you do is you just start practicing every single night. You go and you find an app online and you make a screenshot of it and you try to mimic it. You try to design every little button, every little layout, and this is how you practice. You do this every single night for several weeks until you're bored to death of this. This will teach you basics of design. It'll teach you the button sizes, the text to font sizes, the color choices and things like that. And this is how you become, you know, you start getting your feet wet in visual UI design. And that's basically how I learned. I started copying everything that I saw. And over time, it's like playing the piano. You just become familiar with it, right? And you just start, you know, it becomes second nature, but it takes months, years. But you can get started, you can learn this quickly within weeks, months, if, you know, as you're getting started. You're gonna continue to learn as you go through your career, but, you know, just to get started in learning visual design, that's basically what my recommendation is. So that's the biggie. The other thing is when you're looking to get into a job, it's your responsibility to build up a portfolio. I call these building out personal projects. And so you think of an idea, you think of an app, have your family members help you out with an idea, and you think of an app idea and you give yourself the challenge of designing this. And you use one of these tools to design this particular application. And you build out different states of this app, not just the dashboard, not just a home page. You build out different states, and you document your process, and that's what you use to post to your portfolio. Once you get one project up there, you know, you start working on another one. The deeper, the more projects you have on your portfolio, the more impressive it looks, right? You don't want to go cheap. You don't want to have 20 different projects on there. You want to go high quality in each and every project, and and go from there. But don't think quantity, think quality. So have some quality projects up there. You can start putting out your resume with one project. An ideal portfolio obviously is like 6 to 8 projects maybe. Most people probably have 3 up there, and you know, that's enough to land a job. Whatever, one's enough to land a job, to be honest with you. But that's basically your goal, is to build a portfolio, and that's going to be your ticket, or one of your main things in getting a job, getting recruited, getting hiring manager interested in your work. And so you go from there, and eventually you got to play the game. When it comes to getting a job in this industry, you play the game, you know, understand what you're going after, and once you land a job, you're going to join a team, and it's not just you. It's like any other company, any other position. You're joining a team, and it's not just you to solve all the problems. You work together with the team, you work together with the UX researchers, you work together with the engineers. Obviously there's a lot to discuss there, but I don't want to break down every little nook and cranny of day to day. But it's your job to listen, think critically through each and every step of your design process, ask questions with your product managers and your bosses and things like that. Who are you designing this for? What are you guys designing? And you propose a best guess, a good proposal. And from there, you get feedback, you make changes to it, you iterate, you get to a point where you hand this off to developers and they build it out. You guys have customers using it, you get feedback from customers, and you go from there. And that's basically that's just in a nutshell what I think about when I think about getting started in UI UX design. And listen, when you land a job as a designer, it's not going to be like probably what you thought and what you read in textbooks and things like that. You might get a job where, you know, it's not what you thought, and that's just the nature of the business, right? And so you stay there for 6 months, a year, you look for something else, and you keep working, and you keep learning, keep growing in this industry until you get to places and projects that you enjoy. And that's basically life in this industry. And so it's a good industry. I remember someone asked me, listen, hey Mike, you think I should get into UX design? Should I get into this? You think it's a good field? Listen, if you're asking that question, it's probably not for you. You're probably going to bounce out at the point of you getting frustrated about particular something. But if you're passionate about design, you love solving problems, you love the idea of this industry, and you love designing apps and projects, hey, this is for you, and you'll be successful once you just continue to practice and remain and stay at it and keep going. So that's my thoughts. Just wanted to hit you up with a few nuggets. Hopefully these ideas and things that I just mentioned is helpful for you to kind of get kick-started. Oh, one thing I would mention is this. As you're taking it upon yourself to design a project, you're going to come across hundreds, tens of hundreds of questions that needs answering. That's when you go about, you're searching on YouTube, you're searching on Google and things like that, and you're figuring these things out. I say start there before going into any course. You'll get to a point to where you need more of a structured course program, somebody teaching you step by step and things like that. At that point, that's when you can reach out and kind of learn, and kind of you'll probably be ready for a course. But until then, there's a lot you can do on your own, and just building out and learning and practicing each and every night before you go there. Anyway, that's just my thoughts. I rambled on a little bit too long, but hopefully these tips were helpful. Hopefully you gain a nugget from this, and hopefully you can get better from this. Anyway, if you have any questions, always visit my site, mluxacademy.com, and use the contact link there. Hit me up with any questions. I'll be happy to answer those for you, and I'll talk to you guys in the next video.